Hello again, and before you I have my latest brass padlock, once produced by the Smith & Egg manufacturing company. This company is known for their sewing machines. This says patent pending on the shackle, and I always like to have patent pending locks in my collection because they tend to be the older variety of locks before they go patented. Interesting enough, I couldn't find the actual patent on this lock, and I don't know if it actually did get a patent, but I think it must have because there's so many of them floating around with patent pending on it, so I don't know what happened. Um, when I got this lock, I didn't exactly know what to expect, but usually the mechanism is one of twofold. You're going to find that these locks will open by shackle tension, and yes, that is how I picked this lock, and I'm demonstrating it here, the piece of scrap wood that I used to create a lever in order to apply necessary tension to the shackle while picking. And had it been the other way around, I would have expected to see a lever underneath the uppermost levers in the lever stack, and I didn't see that, so I was pretty sure that this was a shackle tensioning type of lock. And when I approached it with picking, I noticed that there was just one or two lever tumblers sticking. And believe it or not, I found that if you use silicone spray or WD-40, it actually does help because it actually helps the lever tumblers slip into the fence and the gate a little more easily when you're in the zone. So I'm really an advocate of using lubricants when picking these locks when it deals with shackle tension. So let me remove this and talk a little bit more about this lock, if I can get this out. Yeah, there we go. So once I got the lock picked, I had a couple of choices. I could use Z-bars to gap gauge the distance between the lever tumblers and the bottom of the barrel here when rotated at the 12 o'clock position. And believe it or not, the Z-bar was actually helpful in picking the lock. I initially used a Peterson hook, standard hook, to kind of set two tumblers at once, because you almost need that two tumbler advantage to kind of prime the bolt into the, or I should say the fence into the tumbler stack, and that gives you more advantage. But once I got the lock picked open, it was actually kind of a surprise. I did notice that there was, all tumblers were like stuck. I'm like, why is this lock not opening? Why isn't it? And then something I just did, I don't know, maybe by accident, finally it opened. But definitely the piece of wood helped facilitate the picking process by using shackle tension. So anyway, back to how to decode the lock for making a key. No, I didn't use the Z-bars to gap gauge the lever tumblers. I just used good old-fashioned impression. And I don't like using brass because brass is too soft and there was a good chance I might break the key in the lock. Some of you know from my prior videos, I like using beryllium bronze, and that's exactly what I did. This mechanism, I'm not exactly sure what's inside. I couldn't find any cutaways on the internet, but it's pretty similar to my prior video on the Fram padlock, and that whole design was really resonated, probably a good 40 years in the lock industry. And this manufacturer, as I understand, was also a key figure in producing the street letter padlocks. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they were the initial manufacturers of that. Maybe it was somebody else, but I seem to remember that in the back of my mind. Anyway, let me show you without further ado my latest key, and here it is, made from beryllium bronze. I initially posted on Facebook that I thought this lock was a 5-lever padlock, and I don't think it is. I think it's a 4. The bitting almost looks like a 4, but notice the last lever tumbler is really thick, and that might be just because of inconsistencies and tolerances in the lock. But nonetheless, let's let's talk about how this key opens. You can open this lock rotating it clockwise or counterclockwise. When you rotate it clockwise, the lock will open at the 10 o'clock position instantly. When you rotate it counterclockwise, it will open at the 12 o'clock position. And it really is sensitive. It just opens really easy. And based on how easy it opens, I'm thinking, man, why did this lock give me so much trouble in picking it? It really did kick my ass, trying to pick it. I spent a couple hours on it, and I almost felt defeated. But yeah, I eventually got it open and pressed in a key on it. So here's the key right here, and I'll rotate that guy to the counterclockwise. Boom, open. Yeah, sweet. So really, a really nice key, a really nice material to work with as far as impressioning is concerned. It's a very strong material. Give you a little view of inside the bolt itself. It's comprised of 3 laminated plates. Again, this is a very simple design, and it was used throughout the early lock manufacturing history of between, obviously, the late 1800s, I would say all the way up to the 1930s. This design was implemented, some sort of it anyway. Anyway, guys, have any questions? Leave comments down below, and thank you for watching.